with us on the program. We did tell you before the break that when we return, we'd have legal perspective to an issue on the floor of the Red Chambers. It's been discussed on the grounds of public opinion, especially for people who are not so conversant with the rules and ethics in the Senate and even those in the courts of law. Now, Senator Natasha had filed 2 petitions, one in the court of law and one on the floor of the Red Chambers. Now, to do us the honors of breaking down the legal perspectives to this discussion, we'd have 2 legal bigwigs in the studio. I would introduce the one with the red cap, and then Chijioke would also introduce the gentleman seated next to him.
Certainly.
Well, to our far right over there, we have Honorable Barrister Mfon Udeme, who is the national convener of the Tinubu Agenda Initiative and a legal practitioner. Has also taught law in the University of Uyo. Good morning to you, Barrister Mfon. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be in your program today.
And of course, also joining us is Alexander Ogboo, who is a notary public, barrister and solicitor, and also a chartered mediator and conciliator, as well as a human rights activist. A very warm morning to you, sir. It's wonderful to have you here in the studio.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, let's get right into the conversation. It's no news that it stemmed from sitting reassignments on the floor of the Red Chambers. Now, allegations dating back to the 8th of December 2023, as alleged by Senator Natasha Akpoti, have been presented to the Senate Committee on Ethic, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions. But it was dismissed yesterday, saying that she was not supposed to append it herself, but ought to have been done by another senator in the House. Now, let's begin with that as our first point of call. We'll also, in the course of our conversation, take a listen to Senator Natasha and also Senator Akpabio. But to begin with you, Barrister Alexandra, let's get your thoughts on this issue dismissed by the chairman of the Code of Conduct, Petition and Ethics.
You know, in every engagement in life, there are procedures, there are processes of going about that. And if you want to make a success of anything, you follow the rules. Every senator should know the rules of the Senate, the way they engage, the way they operate. And to present a petition and the rule says another person should do it on your behalf, that should be the rule. If you don't follow that, it becomes, a setback. Yeah. That's exactly what played out. So that's actually what happened to that particular matter, not following the rules. And that will not be healthy. For anybody, it's not particularly because it's Natasha. Yeah. For any other senator. Yes.
Now, one of the major arguments here on the table is as to why the petition was immediately thrown out without even giving any due consideration at all. Considering the severity of the matter at hand, many people are of the opinion that the committee could have at least looked at it without just throwing it out based on the fact that she had signed the petition herself and not gotten another senator or member of the National Assembly to append their signature.
You know, what will give that document a hearing is compliance. Once there's non-compliance, there's no basis for any further action. It's like that even in the legal process. If you come to court improperly, no matter what you spend filing the process and all the rest,
it will be thrown out.
Yes, it will. Because it's coming wrongly. So there's no basis to look into it because you could not cross the bridge of initial entrance for any other senator. So that's what that particular matter suffered.
I believe, Barrister Mfon, you'd like to lend your voice. Now, my concern is on the timeline it took. If it happened on the 8th of December 2023, but it only took sit reassignments, which she was disgruntled over, to have her raise the concern, is it a question of something she had harbored in her mind?
Sort of like a vendetta.
Or is this the best response she could give?
Well, thank you very much for having me. First of all, I'm not a senator, and I would like it to be on record. I'm here as the national convener of the Tinubu Agenda Initiative, and of course, a lawyer who participates in politics. And I will want to respond that the issues, as is stated, here, is simply about a rule that is made consequent upon the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And everyone in Nigeria, every institution, is bound by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And Section 60 of the Constitution empowers the National Assembly to make standing rules. Standing rules is a public document, anybody can access it. And I had the privilege to go through and could see that in all the 40 rules 4 and 7 states clearly why and how the process you need to go through in order to present a petition before the hallowed chambers. And I feel a bit disappointed, I'm sorry to say so, that the distinguished Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan seemed not to be abreast with the rules of where she belongs, because I saw in that rule that you cannot, as a senator, sign a petition in your own name to present. Perhaps the jurisprudence behind that rule, because no law is made in vacuum. It's as a result of a certain, perhaps, mischief, because sometimes people use their offices to drive their own personal selfish interest. And the law does not expect you as a senator who represent the people to leave matters of representation of the people to further your own selfish personal interest. Perhaps that's the rationale behind the fact that if you have a petition, you cannot be a doctor unto yourself. You will need your colleagues, you will need others to be able to present that for you. So that's why Section 40 Rules 4 and 7, takes care of that. And I heard you ask why the committee did not even have to look at it.
Yeah.
It has patent defect. So ab initio is defective. It could not even be looked at. And again, you had noted about the issue of the court dependency of a suit. Rule 7 of that same order 40 states that the Senate will not be seized of a matter or will not debate over a matter that is in the court of law. So I feel a bit disappointed, and my sympathy indeed goes to the people of Kogi Central, that they have sent a senator who appears not to be abreast, with due respect to the senator, about the rules of the hallowed chambers.
That's where my next question is about to land, Honorable Barrister. It appears that there are two cases of lack of information stemming from the Honorable Senator Natasha. First was the reassignment of seats, and it appeared that she didn't know that she wasn't supposed to speak from a seat that had not been assigned to her. That was the beginning of this whole debacle that we're seeing right now. And then secondly, not also knowing that she's not supposed to append her own signature on a petition she is filing by herself. This is opening up a can of worms. To what extent are our senators representing different parts of this country at the National Assembly well knowledgeable about the rule book, about the guidelines that govern the Senate, even extending it to the House of Representatives as well?
Well, that is why this is an opportunity for all electorates. Very soon we'll be going for another election. We need to really assess the people who come out to seek to represent us, because I would have expected that anyone who aspires to be a senator or a member of the House of Reps would have taken time to go through the standards, the rules. When you invited me to your studio this morning, you told me of the rules, the time, and when I arrived, you gave me a seat and also showed me what to do. And I think it's also a function of humility. I had to humble myself to ensure that I am guided. So we will expect that when you get to a place like that, like you go to court. If I have a matter in court this morning, most times we are even trained in law school to know even beyond the law, to understand even the psychology of the court. There are those courts that we know as 9 o'clock court prompt, 10 o'clock court prompt. You need to understudy the environment that you're going to represent. So on the matter of sitting arrangement or the 6 of the rule of the Senate rules, like I said, that rule is not made in vacuum. It is founded upon the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the ground norm of what our democracy stands on. So nobody can disregard it. You are expected to follow, the guide of the sergeant at arms. Rules are made so that we all can have orderliness, whether in the church, in fact, whether in the market, whether anywhere in the world, even in heaven, there are standards and rules to be obeyed. So I think it speaks to the character. It speaks to the humility. It speaks to, again, the electorate. And I know that this has also opened up the issue of, are these persons, especially, like I did say, I have sympathy for the people of Kogi Central.
Now, we'll come back to you.
Let's bring Barrister Alex into this.
All right.
Now, off the back of the rules as established now that should be followed in conducting oneself in the red chambers. Now, Senator Natasha, even before she filed this petition and took the other matter to court, was invited before the Committee on Ethics, Codes and Conduct. She failed to appear. I don't know if it's now becoming a show for the cameras or playing to the galleries, but many are also insinuating that this might be orchestrated to target the seat of the Senate President, with or without Senator Natasha, that some issues like this would come up to question his leadership.
You see, in practice, there's what we call decorum.
Yeah.
Everybody is expected to have regard to decorum, process of engagement, way of doing things, even in daily activities of human existence, interrelationships. It's important to relate well with people. It's important to have a pullback system. I have been following this incident, and in the Senate, Akpabio also had a fallout with the issue of change your seat. But when he blew up, he quickly recognized himself and apologized.
Immediately.
That is what is expected of somebody. Like if you go to court, that's what we call following the hint of the court. You want to take a move, and the judge gives you some directives. If you are wise, you quickly pull back and follow those directives, because that thing is giving you what will help you to succeed. Many lawyers disregard it, and they pay dearly for it. Because once you disregard it, the judge marks you and watch you dig a pit and fall into it yourself, and he ends you there. But once you follow that hint, you pull back, adjust yourself, and get the best of results. That's what is expected of every lawmaker. I'm talking on a general term now. And being a lawyer too, who, like my colleague mentioned, our training gives us all these kind of imbued attributes. If it's a non-lawyer, nobody is the best anyway. One will be saying, well, maybe the kind of business or whatever the person does has not given the person the opportunity. But one who has this training that we have, we expect that the person should deploy it to the best of one's ability.
Do you think that's the training that made the Senate President, before his emergence as Senate President, apologize in the 8th Senate? Maybe it's not the training that Senator Natasha has.
Every lawyer had that training, but employing the training, respecting that, is what matters. It varies from person to person. My colleague made a point that election will soon come. One need to know the kind of person. You can't exactly know what an individual is able to do until an opportunity presents itself. A person who wants to excel will always use these safeguards to excel. One who wants to get things wrong will want to jump into a red flag, and like what we are seeing, it's not supposed to be so. I like Senator Itagiwa, former Senator Itagiwa, made some comments which some women organizations are misunderstanding. She said, once you are elected into the Senate, you are no longer a woman or a man. You are a person. Oh. And you are not subservient to any other. So for you to raise this kind of a thing, you are going below the belt.
Yes.
That's a standard statement a fellow woman made, who have been there. No matter how people are playing to the gallery, raising sentiments, basic things need to be understood.
Now, Barrister, let's talk about the protests that had held at the gates or entrance of the National Assembly.
Yes.
Where firstly you had women who were protesting in support of the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, citing that Natasha had, orchestrated a blackmailing campaign against the esteemed Senate President. And then a day or two after, we saw protesters who were protesting on behalf of Senator Natasha and calling for a step aside of the Senate President pending investigation into this particular matter. Now, however, we saw that tensions had escalated to the point where security personnel had to disperse these crowds, using tear gas and all of that. As a human rights activist and also a lawyer, to what extent can an individual or a group of persons protest over an issue, especially of national interest like this, and very sensitive as well, without having to deal with security agencies dispersing them in such a manner?
The security agencies coming on board is determined by the conduct of the people on display. If they are very cordial and civil, you won't see the security agents coming to intervene. But when you see signs of violence, that can escalate. Because that's one problem with these things. Protest is legal, but the conduct of protesters is extremely important to observe. Some that will come to join the protest may not even know what the protest is all about, and they will vent unnecessary anger on anybody, and that will not be for the interest of everybody.
Based on sentiments of what
sentiments and all that kind of a thing. The economy is harsh. Some people come because of harsh economy. They are not coming because of Akpabio or Natasha.
They just want to protest.
They want to and they want to destroy things. They want to vent their anger wrongly. So that's why we need the security agents. But what we always urge is that security agents should try and mellow the temper of the people. Let's be able to hear the people, except those who want to be unruly. And it will be unwise for the security agents to allow people to become unruly. When it goes out of hand, we also will come to now ask, don't we have security agents? All right? And you see, this protest is going haywire. There are those protesting in Kogi, there are those protesting in Akwa Ibom State. All right? There's even the Northern Elders Forum, there's the Christian Association of Nigeria. You see, the thing is going all over the place. So there's need for the security to be at alert. Yes, because tempers are too high. And two, people should also know that matters are in court. So there's an extent to which anybody can say whatever I want to say.
It's on that premise of matters being before the court and what we can say or cannot say that would be held as contempt of the courts. But concerning the other issue which Senator Natasha took to the courts, is a case in which she's demanding 1.3 billion naira in defamation, which she joined the Senate President as a co-defendant in the suit. She also named his aide, Patrick Mfon. She mentioned a post on Facebook where the aide alleged that she was improperly or indecently dressed to the chambers. We'll take a listen to that video from Senator Natasha in a while, whilst our production team gets the video ready. But let's get your thoughts on it. I know there's an extent to what you can say or not say since the issues are before the court. But in 1.3 billion naira in defamation, what do you make of this case?
Well, it's within the right of any Nigerian to approach the court if the person feels his or her right is infringed upon or has any issue that the court has the competence to determine. And that's within the right. I wouldn't want to comment on the propriety or otherwise of that suit. Rather, I would want to focus on the issue that you had raised about these actions being targeted at the distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio as Senate President. I want to say on behalf of the Tinubu Agenda Initiative that such is dead ab initio. It has no place in the political firmament of Nigeria because as far as we are concerned, the presidency of His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Tinubu will run on the tenure that the mandate that was given to him. And we have observed over the time that the Tinubu Agenda Initiative has really so far shown the readiness to ensure that Nigeria, the economy, Nigeria politically is far better than it met it. And we have observed that the National Assembly has done everything necessary to be able to ensure that the Tinubu administration has the necessary support from the legislature. We feel at this point perhaps there are the enemies of Tinubu, His Excellency Asiwaju Tinubu, are up to see how they can distract the government. And I know that Mr. President is too focused to be distracted. So what we have at hand is a mere conjecture by perhaps an individual, which we can confirm that very glaringly the rules have been disobeyed. And one would have expected, like you referred to the issue of the 8th Senate, that a humble person, when your attention is drawn to an error, will humbly apologize. But what have we seen in this case is, a situation where there is grass, maybe with due respect, ignorance about the rules. And I will not be surprised, I make bold to state, if the electorate will, because the law allows initiation of a recall of persons who are not performing properly. You cannot distract an entire nation on flimsy and baseless allegations that is merely sentimental. We have serious issues that I would have expected to come to your studio today to discuss. But look at the distraction. Like my little friend did mention, across the country, some persons are jumping on it on sentimental grounds. But as a lawyer,
including the Arewa Consultative Forum and CAN as well.
So that's what I'm saying. I will want us to stay on the issues. What's the issue here? Flouting of the rules? What's the issue here? Being unable to ensure that you are braced with the environment that you're working. What's the issue here? Trying to impugn and bring down an entire institution. What's the issue here? Trying to distract the presidency of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu from having the required support from the National Assembly.
Now let's talk about women inclusivity in governance. Now this is a female senator, even though you had quoted the former Senator Itagiwa saying that once you are elected, you're no longer male or female.
Yes.
You're now an individual and, without being subservient to anybody. But in this situation, we have seen a lot of tempers flaring. We have seen a lot of emotion coming into play, especially from the part of Senator Natasha with regards to this matter. It now appears that it's almost like a case of men against one woman. However, will this be some sort of hindrance or an impediment to this continued call for more inclusivity of women in Nigeria's politics, especially with what we're seeing playing out with regards to Senator Natasha?
I will not, well, you are making a point that it could actually discourage support, but I think that Nigerians are wiser. We need to identify the issue and ensure that we don't muddle things up. There are very intelligent women in our country who actually are doing well. Even in the 10th Senate, we have other brilliant,
the likes of Senator
Ireti and others. And of course, you had mentioned Senator Florence Tagiwa. Yeah. So we cannot, because of just one isolated incident, come out to say, no, women should not be supported. I will want to rather say that, like I mentioned, where we have those who don't do well, who don't perform, the law allows for a recall. And I will not be surprised where this may be deployed, because we need to have a country where everyone obeys and follows the rule. And let me use this opportunity to state, the man, Godswill, for some of us who have had the privilege of working with him long, about 20 years ago or so, I had the privilege of serving in his government as chairman of a local government area during his tenure. I can tell you for free that here is one of our best. He's a brand. And I can tell you, of all the times that he's gone through public offices, there is no one who's been able to dent that brand. And I was just wondering, why will it always be that when somebody flouts the rules and when somebody is not, is being frustrated, they will always want to play the sexual harassment card? I won't forget of a certain person who, I think the person did not go for youth service, the person did not follow the rules for appointment, and had the problem of insubordination. And as soon as the issues were brought to the table, that look, you are not following the rules, the next thing we heard was a sexual harassment. And we are happy, we in Akwa Ibom, we want to say it categorically clear that we hold His Excellency Godswill Akpabio in very high esteem. A man who actually has shown so much love for the women folk in terms of empowerment and all of that. So nobody, we make bold to state, nobody can dent that brand. And it reminds me of what Joseph in the Bible, for those who are Christians, went through. You know,
with Potiphar's wife. Just hold your thoughts there. Let's listen to the statement from the Senate President, and then we'll also take a listen to Senator Natasha. Well, the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, said, much like Honorable Mfon had said, that in his time as governor in Akwa State, he received the award for the most gender-friendly governor, a statement to his support for women's participation in governance. We'll take a listen to these comments, and then we'll also listen to Senator Natasha. Let's begin with that of the Senate President.
While I am aware that the matters are in court, however, I would like to state clearly that at no time did I ever attempt any sexual harassment on the said distinguished Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan or any other woman for that matter. I and my siblings were raised very well by my late single mother. She died in year 2000, through very difficult times, and I therefore have the highest regards for women. Even at demise, I still cry till today. I also wish to state that I also have 4 beautiful daughters. So at no time will I ever harass any woman, and I've never done so. In addition, even as a state governor, I was awarded various awards. One of them was the one you wish to know, the most gender-friendly governor in Nigeria. I served between 2007 and 2015. To God be the glory. In conclusion, I urge all Nigerians, particularly the media, and then, of course, the members of the social media, to await the court's decision. And please do not jump to conclusions on matters of mere allegations. I want to thank you for listening to me, and thank my colleagues, because some of the phone calls were calls of support, solidarity, and prayers that the Almighty God will step in to vindicate the just.
Your refusal to accept and treat my petition before the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges and Abuse of my privileges, and I say forth that this matter is not subject, it is not before the court. The matter before the court is on the defamation and cyberbullying statements made by your special assistant on new media, Mr. Patrick Mfon, who addressed my decent outfits as transparent, thereby depicting that I walk sedulously and naked to the chambers. That is the nature of the petition, of the case in court. This petition, sir, has never been filed. The petition that alleges, or should I say, accuses you of making sexual harassment moves, abusing your office, and making malicious obstructions to my legislative functions has not been tendered anywhere before, no court in Nigeria. So, sir, I would appreciate if you kindly accept my petition and forward same to the Ethics and Privileges Committee so it could be treated. Thank you, sir.
Now, to begin with the statement by the Senate President, who says that in time, God would vindicate the just. He has also called on those on social media to not draw hasty conclusion following mere allegations. It's on that point I'd like to get your thoughts, because when you go online and you look at the reactions of Nigerians to issues that have legal perspectives, it's always from a point of, would I like to use the word, lack of better understanding of how the rules and ethics, even on the floor of the chambers and in the law rooms, operate. What's your call to them as well in line with that?
Let's even go outside the National Assembly. See the word the Senate President used, mere allegations. Nigerians should understand something. When you make an allegation against anybody, the law places on you a huge responsibility to prove with facts and figures in concrete terms what you are talking about. You must present the facts. If you can't present the facts, whatever you are saying, no matter how weighty you think, will fall like a pack of cards. Because it could be made against any other person. You see, this kind of thing, maybe I will call on the men folk to also start raising issues. Because women, a lot of women harass men on daily basis. But men comport themselves with candor and move on in life. There are things you don't bring to the public domain, which women do to men. On a frank note, men undergo a lot of sexual harassment by women. They endure that and move on. And, you know, if an issue arises that you are supposed to address, and you now start talking of harassment, it shows bad faith. Because if you are harassed and you think it's that serious, you raise it immediately. Take actions immediately.
Because she said it happened on the 8th of December 2023.
Because these things, if they go to the court is interested in the facts to establish. If you don't present the facts, they are mere allegations. And the person you raise these things against, at the end of the day, still has the right to sue you and claim damages in tort.
These are suing for damages.
Yes.
The wife of the Senate President has also instituted her own lawsuits.
Yes.
People are asking, I'll get your thoughts as well.
Okay.
Since the allegations were not leveled against her, but her husband, does it make her suit valid for damages to the family name? Because that's what she said. She said this damages her family, and the fact that children are involved, it will put their father in a bad light. Let's understand the legal perspective to that.
No, if you could get the details of what distinguished Senator Natasha stated, she placed the issue at the doorstep of Her Excellency.
She said it happened in their home.
She placed it there, and that gives the wife of the distinguished Senate President the right to protect her own reputation.
So that also gives the lawsuit much credibility.
Certainly, because the allegation she made, she placed it at the doorstep of Her Excellency. That it was in her house. In fact, she was present. In fact, she made it look as though it is something that maybe would have been sanctioned by the wife of the Senate President. Because when you allege that an action took place in my home, you are trying to make it look as if my family indeed actually did sanction such action. And this is pure lies, completely fabricated, because even common sense, will tell you that some things are not within the realm of reality. They are mere conjectures. So we need to really ensure, perhaps this is an opportunity also for the lawmakers, like Legal Counsel have just stated. We need to get the laws to be balanced, so that in cases of this nature, where it is very glaring that there is a false allegation, there must be a sanction against women who will often bring sexual harassment, in a bag of tricks to throw to distract attention. Like I mentioned, recall, because somebody did say, oh, this is not the first time there was an allegation. And my question is, why is it always that people who flout the rules, people who are frustrated and sinking because of their wrongdoing, will always have sexual allegation or harassment as a defense? Because the person referred to earlier was cited for insubordination, was cited for disobedience to the law regarding appointment. And when the president took action, what we heard was that there was sexual harassment. Now, here is another person who the rules she has flouted, she has failed to obey, and rather than humbly accept the situation, is now throwing sexual harassment as a decoy. So this speaks to the fact that our lawmakers, both at the state assemblies, of course nationally, must immediately begin to protect all of us, because this action, I can tell you, is more against the women. It makes it look as if every woman, may just raise allegation when they have found themselves in the wrong.
Now, let's still talk about the allegations,
Yes.
Honorable Barrister. We all know how very jovial the esteemed Senate President can be.
Yes, I can confirm that.
Exactly.
Yes.
And in record, both parties have confirmed that they are both family friends.
Yeah.
The family of the Senator Natasha and, of course, the Senate President's family are all were quite close before all of this crisis, came into play. Could it have been that Senator Natasha might have misconstrued the Senate President's words, one of his jovial words, in any way, to have come up with these allegations that she's currently leveling against him?
I don't speculate at all. I take issues as they are. I listened to her and I've heard that the presentation she made did not add up. So I can never speculate that there was a misconstruction of perhaps what Mr. President of the Senate said. I have worked considerably for a long time to know that the President of the Senate is a very large-hearted and down-to-earth person. He has that personality. And this is what has endeared a lot of us to him. He's a man that you can say that he has a baby heart. He easily forgives. He loves to work with everyone. He has no malice against anyone. And we cannot now want to make it look as if someone who is down to earth, someone who is easygoing, that we should, make that to be like something that's maybe a flaw on his part. No. Why we in Akwa Ibom, for example, massively elected him twice was because we loved his personality. And I can tell you, like I did say, the brand Godswill Akpabio, you cannot dent it. No matter what distinguished Senator Natasha is doing, I can confirm to you as I speak that eventually I will not be surprised if a recall process is initiated, because the distraction that she has caused, we in the Tinubu Agenda Initiative feels that this is taken too far. It's a joke taken too far, because the laws are clear on it. If they have a matter in court, let that be taken care of.
All right.
We don't want to hear further distractions.
We'll come back to you, Barrister Alex, and it's on the facts available to us.
Yes.
In response to this, many had asked what's the position of her husband. We saw High Chief Mfon Udemaghan yesterday at the National Assembly, dropping off his wife and leaving her with a kiss on the lips. But in his letter to the full glare of the public, he did not mention the sexual harassment allegations his wife said. Rather, he focused on the statements she had made earlier about feeling maligned following the reassignment of new seats to her. Himself and the Senate President share some sort of camaraderie and brotherhood for years now. Do you think that the fact that he didn't mention that in his letter is big enough a question?
You see, mention it in his letter or not mention in his letter is not the major person in this issue. The role he's playing is a role that one really have to pity him. If it happened to any other family, that's what is expected of a couple. Going to drop her off to show support and all that. And two, you find out that when you look at that issue, you discover that somebody is not listening to somebody among the couples. Somebody is not listening to somebody. But what else do? You have to play along to do whatever you can, But the bottom line of it is that definitely, you see, the drama has to end. The drama has to end, and the society needs to move forward. And the earlier the drama ends, the better for each and everyone. The issue of escalating it is not doing us any good at all. For me, I should have expected. There was this aspect of the report that came where the Senate President even placed a call to Natasha at night and had a conversation with her, and eventually, noticing the husband was there, discussed with the husband. If you listen to that, one should have expected that a man who took that kind of pain to do that should have brought about a mellowing down on the other side. And some people will say, what right does he have to call at night? People don't even understand what leadership is all about. Most of the political meetings are night meetings. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 1 a.m., and all. And somebody called at 12 to show, you know, a kind of talking to someone to kind of reconsider certain steps. That's the attitude of a mature mind. You know, if all these things has happened and there's no mellowing down yet, that's why I'm saying, as it is now, the court will have to await. What do you expect the husband to do? There's a step he may take, it will worsen the matter.
Yeah.
So he just being careful.
Now let's get the position of two senators who have reacted to this issue. First, the Senate spokesman, Senator Adeyemi Adaramodu, who reacting to this drop-off by High Chief Emmanuel Uduaghan, said it is drama he used to see in primary school. I don't know what you make of the comments of the Senate spokesman.
Well, I think a lot of people are, you know, taking to the profession of content creation. I'm told I see a lot of in fact, I think one of my children, one of them likes to create content. So it reminds me that maybe it could be part of the hobby of the distinguished senator.
Is it to buy public sentiments?
Honestly, we have a very serious business to conduct at the Senate, and I wouldn't want us to trivialize it. And if you ask me, I'm not for that mellowing down. Discipline must be effectively mated. At this point in time in our nation, we must be seen to be very serious. That is why I am calling on the legislature across the country to once again look at the issue of having to balance this sexual harassment and blackmail. We've had it over time. I did mention the case in the Bible where Joseph himself was harassed by a person and later it was torn against Joseph as a blackmail. We will not take it, and we will not expect anyone to come out and make it look as if at that level of engagement that people go there for frivolities. It is an attack on the institution of the Senate. So I'm certainly not for that issue of mulling down. We should look at the law and ensure that the maximum discipline is deployed, because this will serve as a deterrent to a lot of others. Who knows, the young ones who are growing up may begin to feel that anytime they are wrong, that it will be quite convenient for them to distract attention. Maybe even in your organization, you will have staff who are supposed to come early for work, staff who are supposed to carry out some assignments, and just because you are the manager of that organization, when you insist on the rules being obeyed, you will simply be blackmailed with sexual harassment. We need a law to protect our country for that. And for this issue, I state again very clearly, the Tinubu Agenda Initiative is watching very keenly. Anyone who wants to distract Mr. President, we identify the person, because we know that the National Assembly has given quality support, and the economic and political environment of the country has, gone from worse to good, and is getting better. And we would have expected that we'll stay focused on that course, only to have this, genie in a bottle distracting everyone. So we are calling in the Tinubu Agenda Initiative that maximum discipline be deployed, and we will not be surprised if the electorate initiate a recall on persons who act in a manner that shows clearly that they do not understand the rules of where they were elected to go and serve.
All right, Honorable Barrister Mfon, we must thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having this conversation. I'm afraid time is no longer on our side, but I will just want to get your concluding thoughts, Barrister Alex, before we let you out of the studio.
What I want to give is an advice to all Nigerians. We are all involved in one thing or the other, all right? We need to be decorous. We need to be, temperament in terms of organizing ourselves. We need to have regard for one another, all right? Let's avoid trying to take undue advantage of anyone, male or female, under whatever circumstance.
Yeah.
We should avoid taking undue advantage. Look, now this is Lenten season. This is also fasting time for Muslims, all right? And it's a time that everyone is expected to discipline himself or herself, be humble enough, But you see some people, when they are fasting, they are violent. It's against the ethics of fasting. Violence in the name of fasting? No, that's not what it's all about. We are all human beings. We should learn to interrelate with one another with respect.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Alex. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you as well. Gentlemen, thank you for gracing our studios. Hopefully, we'll have you again sometime soon.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Well, this is as much as time will permit for us to engage in this conversation. To rewatch it, kindly visit our YouTube channel at ADBN TV_NG.